Hare Krishna. So, we welcome you all to this reading session on Krishna book, chapter number 23, part 2 of 2. So, yesterday we had read the chapter partially, and today we will be completing this chapter. So, let's begin this reading session with this wonderful prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. Krishna, 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 He Krishna, 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 He Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam. The pranam mantra of Srila Prabhupada. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's begin our discussion where we left off yesterday. So till now, what we had seen is that the wives of the Brahmanas had come to meet Lord Krishna with very wonderful offerings in terms of food items because they knew that Lord Krishna is feeling hungry. Although it's just a pastime, but yes, it was the desire of the Lord that he wanted to accept this service from his devotees. So therefore, Lord welcomed them, and we had read yesterday that it seemed as if the wives were embracing the Lord and they had become one with each other. But Srila Prabhupada very clearly, explicitly explains that this oneness does not mean that the individuality of the person is lost, right? Neither Lord Krishna loses identity nor the individual wives lost theirs. And the real oneness, what should a devotee aspire for is to be in agreement with the desires of the Lord. So the real oneness which we should aspire for is to agree and follow the desires of the Lord, right? So from here onwards, we read the second section. Krishna welcomed them with the following words. My dear wives of the Brahmanas, you are all very fortunate and are welcome here. Please let me know what I can do for you. You coming here to see me neglecting all restriction and hindrances of relatives, fathers, brothers, and husbands is completely befitting. One who does this actually knows his self interest, because rendering transcendental loving service unto me without motive or restriction is actually auspicious for the living entities. Lord Krishna here confirms that the conditioned soul can reach the highest perfectional stage by surrendering unto him. One must give up all other responsibilities. This complete surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most auspicious path for the conditioned soul, because the Supreme Lord is the supreme objective of love. So, what is being told here is that Lord Krishna first of all welcomed them, and then he said that since you have come to me, this means that you know your self interest, right? What is the most auspicious thing? That if somebody renders transcendental loving service to the Lord without motive and without restriction. So that's what mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, ahaituki apratihata, that Shuddha Bhakti, ye Atma Suprasidati. What is the qualification, what is the quality of pure devotional service, that it is ahetuki and apratihata. It is without any motive, and it is without any hindrance, right? So this is the most auspicious thing for a living entity, especially the conditioned living entities. And a conditioned living soul or living entity can reach the perfectional stage by taking the shelter of the Lord or surrendering unto Him. So then everyone is loving his self according to the advancement of his knowledge. Ultimately, when a person comes to understand that his self is the spirit soul and that the spirit soul is nothing but a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, he recognizes the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal of love and then surrenders unto him. This surrender is considered auspicious for the conditioned soul. Our life, property, home, wife, children, house, country, society, and all paraphernalia which are very dear to us are expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the central object of love because He gives us all bliss, expanding Himself in so many ways according to our different situations, namely bodily, mental, or spiritual. So, first of all, what we have to understand over here is that our spirit soul is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but how much has he come to this knowledge? Depending upon that, he will have love for the Supreme Lord, right? So, loving his self is according to the advancement of his knowledge, as we had learned in chapter number 13, where Lord Brahma, when he stole the cows and the boys, so all the Vrindavan Vasis, especially the cows, were very much attracted to the calves, which are actually expansions of Krishna. And the cowherd men, they came running down the mountain, the Govardhan hill, when they saw their children. So this is, and we had read over there that since we are part and parcel of Krishna, so the supreme objective of love is the supreme Lord, right? And as a person advances in his knowledge, he gets more and more clarity that what is the real purpose of life, right? And when a person comes to understand that his self is the spirit soul, and that spirit soul is none other than the part of the Supreme Lord, and his purpose of life is to serve the Lord and go back to Godhead, right? Then he starts off his real journey. This surrender is very auspicious, and whatever we see around us is all the expansion of the material energy of the Lord, right? So, whatever situation, whatever relatives, whatever we are seeing, it is just because the material energy of the Lord is expanding, right? Around us. My dear wives of the Brahmanas, Krishna said, you can now return to your homes, engage yourself in sacrificial activities and in the service of your husbands and household affairs, so that your husbands will be pleased with you and the sacrifice which they have begun will be properly executed. After all, your husbands are householders, and without your help, how can they execute their prescribed duties? So now, what are they? What is Lord Krishna telling to the wives of Brahmanas? Okay, now you go back to your home because your husbands, uh, they are engaged in sacrifice, and when you participate in that sacrifice, the sacrifice will be properly executed. So after listening this thing, what did the wives say? The wives of the Brahmanas replied, dear Lord, this sort of instruction does not befit you. Your eternal promise is that you will always protect your devotees, and now you must fulfill this promise. Anyone who comes and surrenders unto you never goes back to the conditional life of material existence. We expect that you will now fulfill your promise. We have surrendered unto your lotus feet, which are covered by tulsi leaves. So we have no desire to give up the shelter of your lotus feet and return to the company of our so called relatives, friends, and society. And what shall we do if we return home? So, as Lord Krishna instructed them that you go back to your home, they requested to the Lord that please don't ask such a thing to us. Please keep your promise that if anybody takes shelter of you, you will protect him. Now, they don't want to go back to their homes. What the reason they are giving? That our husbands, brothers, fathers, sons, mothers, and friends will no longer accept us at home because we have already left them all. Therefore, we have no other shelter to return to. Please, therefore, do not ask us to return home, but arrange for our stay under your lotus feet so that we can eternally live under your protection. So they said that nobody is going to accept us back. Now you only arrange something so that we can live at your lotus feet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, my dear wives of the Brahmanas, rest assured that your husbands will not neglect you on your return, nor will your brothers, sons, or fathers refuse to accept you. So, Lord assured them, please don't worry. You go back, nobody is going to ignore you. So, because you are my pure devotees, not only your relatives, but also people in general, as well as the demigods, will be satisfied with you. Krishna is situated as the super soul in everyone's heart. So, someone who becomes a pure devotee of Lord Krishna immediately becomes pleasing to everyone. So this is a very wonderful statement which is Srila Prabhupada is making over here, that one who is a pure devotee, all good qualities come to him and he becomes pleasing to everyone. He does not have any enemy. He does not keep enmity with, and he does not consider anybody his enemy. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was called Ajata Shatru. So that is one qualification, that is one quality, that a Vaishnava, he is attractive to all. And that's what we learn in the Shad Goswami Ashtakam also, that the Shad Goswamis, they were Dhira Dhir Janah Priya Priya Karau. They were pleasing even to the good people of the society and bad people of the society. Like Dhira and Adhira, both people, they were very pleasing to everybody, right? So the pure devotee of Lord Krishna is never inimical to anyone, nor can any sane person be an enemy of a pure devotee. Transcendental love for me does not depend upon bodily connection. Krishna said further, but anyone whose mind is always absorbed in me will surely, very soon, come to me for my eternal association. So, Lord assured them that what is the most important thing is not ki where, in what condition are you living, right? What kind of the bodily connection, who are around whom you are living, right? But the foremost qualification is that one's mind should be absorbed in Krishna, and then what will happen? That person will get his eternal association. After being instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the wives returned home to their respective husbands. Pleased to see their wives back home, the Brahmanas sat together with them and executed the performances of sacrifices as enjoined in the Shastras. According to the Vedic principle, religious rituals must be executed by the husband and wife together. When the Brahmana's wives returned, the sacrifice was duly and nicely executed. So, when they returned back, the sacrifice which the Brahmanas were doing, what was the sacrifice they were doing? It was Angiras, right? And what was the purpose? They wanted to go to the heavenly planets. So, now they came back, and all of them were very readily accepted back as Lord had promised them. When the Brahmana's wife, one of the Brahmana's wives, however, who had been forcibly checked from going to see Krishna, began to remember him as he heard of his bodily features. Being completely absorbed in his thought, she gave up her material body, conditioned by the laws of nature. So they one of the Brahmana's wives, all of them could go, but one was stopped by her relatives that you cannot go. So then she gave up her material body, right? In the separation, thinking about the completely absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Krishna. After the departure of the Brahmana's wives, Sri Govinda, that is Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is called Govinda because of two reasons. One is Govinda, one who Go means cows, and Go also means senses. So as we heard the name Goswami, one who is the master of his senses, and the opposite is Godas, one who is the servant of the senses. So Go means senses, and Go also means cows. Vinda means one who gives pleasure. So one who gives pleasure to the cows and one who gives pleasure to the senses, both are the meanings of the name Govinda. And his cowherd boyfriends enjoyed the food they had offered. So Brahmana's wives had given them a lot of bhoga, food to eat. In this way, the ever joyful personality of Godhead exhibited his transcendental pastimes in the guise of an ordinary human being in order to attract the common people to Krishna consciousness. So, whatever this all is happening, these transcendental pastimes, what is the purpose behind it? Lord Krishna is acting just like an ordinary boy. Why? To attract the common people to Krishna Bhakti. With his words and beauty, he attracted all the cows, cowherd boys, and damsels in Vrindavan. All of them together enjoyed the pastimes of the Lord. So, Lord Krishna, by doing such beautiful pastimes, he attracted not only the Vrindavan Vasis but also all the general people, right? So, therefore, Lord Krishna comes to this material world to show all of us that there is a very beautiful place, his own spiritual abode, the Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, where it is our eternal home. It is actual home that we belong to, right? So that the conditional living entities who are suffering in this material world can become attracted and go back to their original home. After the return of their wives from Krishna, the Brahmanas engaged in the performance of the sacrifices began to regret their sinful activities and refusing food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now the Brahmanas started feeling bad कि we did not adhere to the request of the boys who had come on behalf of Krishna and Balaram. They could finally understand their mistake. Engaged in the performance of Vedic rituals, they had neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared just like an ordinary human being and asked for some food. They began to condemn themselves after seeing the faith and devotion of their wives. So, when they saw that their wives were so faithful and devotional, they started cursing themselves, right? They regretted very much that although their wives were elevated to the platform of pure devotional service, they themselves could not understand even a little bit of how to love and offer transcendental loving service to the Supreme Soul. So they were feeling very bad that our wives are so elevated and we living next to them could not understand the glories of the Supreme Lord, and therefore they did not uh, give the boys anything to eat, right? They began to talk amongst themselves. To hell with our being born Brahmanas, to hell with our learning all the Vedic literatures, to hell with our performing great sacrifices and observing all the rules and regulations, to hell with our family, to hell with our expert service in performing the rituals exactly according to the description of the scriptures. So they were very expert in doing Vedic sacrificial ceremonies. To hell with it all, for we have not developed transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the speculation of the mind, body, and senses. So they are feeling very repentant, and they feel that there, what is the benefit of all what we are doing when we were not able to serve the Supreme Lord? And who is the Supreme Lord? His name is Adhokshaja, means one who is beyond the speculation of mind, body, and senses. The The learned Brahmanas, expert in Vedic ritualistic performances, were properly regretful because if one does not develop Krishna consciousness, all discharge of religious duties is simply a waste of time and energy. Na utpadayati yadi ratim shram evahi kevalam. Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that if somebody is doing lot of religious duties, he is very religious person, but ultimately, if he does not develop his Krishna consciousness, then discharge of all those activities is simply a waste of time and energy. They continued to talk amongst themselves. The external energy of Krishna is so strong that it can create illusion to overcome even the greatest mystic yogi. So, in previous chapter of Kaliya, we had read about Shaubri Muni, and we also see many great sages even fell prey to the the external energy of the Lord, right? So this illusion, the external energy of Krishna, is so powerful that greatest mystic yogis can even get illusioned. Although we expert Brahmanas are considered to be the teachers of all other sections of human society, Brahmanas considered to be the head of the society, right? We also have been illusioned by the external energy. So just see how fortunate these women are. These women are. They have so devotedly dedicated their lives to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, that they could easily do what is ordinarily so difficult. They gave up their family connections, which are just like a dark well for the continuation of material desires. So they are feeling bad that uh, these our wives, they could easily do what is so difficult, right? What is that difficult? To give up one's family attachments, right? And Women in general, being very simple at heart, can very easily take to Krishna consciousness, and when they develop love of Krishna, they can easily get liberation from the clutches of Maya, which are very difficult for even so called intelligent and learned men to surpass. So it's an all common observation that women are very simple hearted and they accept Krishna consciousness very readily, right? So we see Matajis that they engage in services very happily, offering bhoga, making garlands, doing a lot of services for the Lord. And therefore, just by this simple heartedness, what happens? They get free from the clutches of Maya, which are even difficult for great learned men, right? So, this simple heartedness is an advantage for the women. The Brahmanas continued, according to Vedic injunction, women are not allowed to undergo the purificatory process of initiation by the sacred thread, nor are they allowed to live as brahmacharinis in the ashram of the spiritual master. Uh, nor are they advised to undergo the strict disciplinary procedures, or are they very expert in discussing the philosophy of self realization. So, and by nature, they are not very pure, nor they are very much attached to auspicious activities. Therefore, how wonderful is it that these women have developed transcendental love for Krishna, the Lord of all mystic yogis. So these Brahmanas are surprised that ordinarily, if you see, the women do not get do not go under the purificatory process, that is the second Brahman initiation, right? Nor they are allowed to live as brahmacharinis in the ashram of Guru, because girls were trained at home and boys were sent to Gurukul of the Guru, right? So it seems that they are at a less privileged position. Rather, still, these women have developed such wonderful love for Krishna. So they have surpassed all of us in firm faith and devotion unto Krishna. Although we are considered to be the masters in all purificatory processes, we did not actually know what their goal is. They were doing so many Vedic anushtans, Vedic sacrificial performances without knowing what is the goal. Because, why? Because we are too much attached to the materialistic way of life. Even though we were reminded of Krishna and Balaram by the cowherd boys, we disregarded them. We now think that that the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply played a trick of mercy on us by sending his friends to beg food from us. So now they are able to understand that why did Lord actually do all this pastime, right? Otherwise, he had no need to send them. He could have satisfied their hunger then and there just by willing to do so. So Lord Krishna is completely powerful. He's Swarat. He's independent. So if his friends were hungry, if he's supplying food to millions of living entities, so can't he satisfy the hunger of his little friends, right? So they are able to understand that why this has happened. It was a mercy of the Lord that he sent his friends to beg food from us. If somehow, if someone denies the self sufficiency of Krishna on hearing that he was tending the cows for his livelihood, or if someone doubts his not being in the need of food, thinking that he was actually hungry, then such a person should understand that goddess of fortune is always engaged in his service. So if somebody might say, you see, Krishna also had to go to forest every day, just like going we go to office, he used to go to the forest because that was his livelihood. Or somebody might say that, see, Krishna was also having scarcity of resources, that's why they were going to beg to the Brahmanas. But Robert writes that such a person should understand that the goddess of fortune is always engaged in his service. That such Krishna is so uh, powerful and he's so self sufficient. He's Atmaram that goddess of fortune is serving him. In this way, the goddess can break her faulty habit of restlessness. In Vedic literatures like the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Krishna is served in his abode with great respect by not only one goddess of fortune, but many thousands. Lakshmi Sahasrasat Samvyasevimanam. Sambrahmasevyamana. So Lord Krishna is served by thousands, Sahasra Lakshmi. Therefore, it is simply illusion for one to think that Krishna begged food from the Brahmanas. It was actually a trick to show them mercy by teaching them that they should accept him in pure devotional service instead of engaging in ritualistic ceremonies. So Lord Krishna wanted to teach them a lesson by this pastime, that if you really want to achieve Krishna, then you cannot do so by doing ritualistic ceremonies, but rather just by keeping a pure, simple heart, just like the Brahman wives of the Brahmanas, they could very easily get an opportunity to serve the Lord. The Vedic ceremonial paraphernalia, the suitable place, the suitable time, the different grades of articles for performing the ritualistic ceremonies, the Vedic hymns, the process of sacrifice, the priest who is able to perform the sacrifice, the fire, the demigods, the performer of the sacrifice. We had read all of these yesterday. Desh, Kal, Patra, Yajman, Kratu. So the performer of the sacrifice and the religious principles, Dharma, are all meant for understanding Krishna. For Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Lord Vishnu and the Lord of all mystic yogis. Because he has appeared as a child in the dynasty of the Yadus, we were so foolish that we could not understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmanas said, but on the other hand, we are very proud because we have such exalted wives who have developed pure transcendental service of the Lord without being shackled by our rigid opposition. So, on one hand, they are feeling repentant that we could not understand that the Supreme Lord actually wanted to accept our service, but simultaneously, they also are very proud and they're very happy that their wives are pure devotees and they were engaged in the service of the Lord despite so much rigid opposition. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, under whose illusory energy called Maya we are absorbed in fruitive activities. We therefore pray to the Lord to be kind enough to excuse us because we are simply captivated by his external energy. So they are praying that please forgive us. We transgressed his order without knowing his transcendental glories. So they are accepting their mistake. The Brahmanas repented their sinful activities. They wanted to go personally to offer their obeisances unto him, but being afraid of Kamsa, they could not go to Krishna and surrender unto him. In other words, it is very difficult for one to surrender fully unto the personality of Godhead without being purified by devotional service. These Brahmanas never did devotional service, right? They were repentant, but due to the fear of Kamsa, they could not go to take shelter of Krishna. On the other hand, the wives of these Brahmanas, they were women, but they were not fearful. They went directly to serve the Supreme Lord. The example of the learned Brahmanas and their wives is vivid. The wives of the Brahmanas, because they were inspired by pure devotional service, did not care for any kind of opposition. They immediately went to Krishna. But the Brahmanas, although they had come to know the supremacy of the Lord and were repenting, were still afraid of Kamsa because they were too much addicted to fruitive activities. So these Brahmanas, because they were not in pure emotional service, so although they were repentant, yet they could not gather the courage to go and take shelter of the Lord, and their wives were able to do so. So, because they were too much addicted to fruitive activities. So, thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 23rd chapter of Krishna, delivering the wives of the Brahmanas who performed sacrifices. So, we see over here that two pastimes which have happened where the wives, being pure devotees, helped deliverance of the husband. So, first case we had seen with Kaliya, his wives were devotees, they prayed, and Lord Krishna forgave these Kaliya, right? And the second example we find is the wives of the Brahmanas who were pure devotees, and by virtue of their devotional service, their husbands could actually come to a realization that they were treading the wrong path. Okay, so we'll stop our discussion over here, and you all of you have given us a good amount of feedback. We'll try to implement it. Most probably every month, once or twice, we will keep a live reading session whereby you can ask your doubts as well, so that you can learn better. So whatever changes we'll incorporate will be also communicated to you beforehand. So we'll end this reading session today. So thank you very much and all the best for today tomorrow's exam. विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल।